We've been looking back at a few of our favourite stories over the years, the people, the places, the experiences. And this week, I thought I'd share my favourite islands of WA, starting with the absolute magic of the Cocos Keeling Islands. There are so many ways to get around the Cocos Keeling Islands. You could go by ferry, simple. If you've got a lot of energy and a spare 6 hours, you can actually walk around this entire coral atoll at low tide. You could paddle, still a bit too much energy, or you could go on a motorised canoe tour. My thoughts, exactly. Like many activities on the islands, the time this tour starts is dependent on the tides. What we're going to see, well, that's dependent on the time of the day and the tides as well. So these adventures are just that. You never know exactly where you're going to end up, but tour owners and operators Kylie and Ash guarantee you'll have one heck of a lot of fun getting there. The canoes motor around the south end of the atoll where the water is fairly shallow, stopping along at a number of the 27 islands that make up the Cocos Keelings. First stop is breakfast. Glad to see they have their priorities right and the tour numbers suddenly explode.
They're hiding out in the bushes and under the pond dock, and when the food comes out they've got an intent to smell, so they'll come and join us for breakfast.
And once everyone's had a feed, the crabs and Ash like to have a bit of fun. Pick your crab carefully, size counts in this race.
Okay, holiday makers, you are so lucky you're here for the 2017 running of the Cocos Cup. Racing on Cocos, they're off to a pretty good start. The big fella's going straight for the line. They're all over the track. It's anyone's race at this stage of the game. This is close to a race record. You have won a trip overseas.
And from one island paradise to another, this time I'm going beyond Broome. This is the aptly named Hidden Island. 2,800 kilometres from Perth is one of the whitest stretches of sand in this state. It's also one of the most remote stretches of sand in the state. Luckily, from where I'm standing here at Broome Airport, it's just a 1 hour flight that way. Our flight heads across the Dampier Peninsula before reaching the coast and the crystal blue waters of the Indian Ocean. King Sound and the Buccaneer Archipelago are in front of us, one of the most stunning and rugged island groups in Australia. There are more than 1,000 islands that make up the archipelago. Today we're going to visit 2 of them, and the first is just coming into view. Cockatoo Island has an airstrip built when the iron ore mine here was operational, and it was also used to service the infamous Cockatoo Island Resort. Time to touch down and explore. Our host today, local legend Jezza. He and his brothers started the tour company, and they have the odd 35 years experience navigating these islands and learning its stories.
When the families were living here and it was used as a mine, they had everything. So they had a jail, they had post office, they had a shop. There was 150 workers working here. Because they weren't able to fly in and fly out, everything was done by state ship.
So who were the first people to find this island, as it were, discover it?
The early pearlers. In 1880, they called this island Heavy Rock Island, and they actually used the rocks for ballast on board boats.
After a circumnavigation of Cockatoo Island, Brother Steve opens up the throttle and we head off to a smaller island nearby that was missed by many an explorer. The aptly named Hidden Island is where we're headed for a swim. And why wouldn't you? The water here is 27 degrees, and the sand, well, to say it's pristine would be a bit of an understatement.